Hello, Jenny Hall here for Trinity Stamps. Today I have a very cool science fiction fantasy type of card for you. I'm using the Otter This World stamp set from Trinity Stamps with the coordinating dies. I've already stamped and colored these off screen to save some time from the video, but I will show you what the coloring looks like for one at the very end. All of the colors I used for the COPICs are listed in the video description. I'm starting out the background technique with a piece of watercolor paper. I really need something that's going to be thick and hold up to lots and lots of wet. So watercolor paper is my strong suggestion for this project. Now I'm using some liquid watercolors or ink refills from Ink on 3, and I've given them a really good shake up off camera and added red to one side and yellow to the next. Spritzed it with some water, and this is the most intense color. It is so vibrant and pretty. I've used the reverse side of the paintbrush to hold the paper down so that it won't kind of run off to the side, so it has a chance to mix, and then use the actual paintbrush part in order to kind of get the edges colored with some paint. Now, I had to dry the paper in between adding the black, and that's important if you try this. The inks and the paper need to be dry, which is why I use the heat tool, because otherwise the black is just going to mix into the red and the yellow. I don't want it to mix into, I want it to sit on top of, and then eventually very softly mix in at the corners as the fluid is there longer. So you can set that aside to dry. Takes a while to dry it, or dry it with your heat tool, but check out the galaxy we've got. By adding the black around the edges, then it works out good. Now I'm going to add some shiny stars with some liquid pixie dust, and I'm using a paintbrush from my craft supplies that has a really long brush end. Now that's going to allow, when I tap it, for the little paint splatters to come off easily, and that's how I get that really fine splatter. You can also kind of flick it off of the edge of the acrylic block if you like, but this way I'm guaranteed to have completely random and very circle little dots. They're not going to be long splashes. They will be certain to be dots. So I'm using a rectangle die just to make sure I get this trimmed down perfectly. And now I'm going to cut a card base from black cardstock. I think black cardstock is perfect for this panel because it's going to help show through the middle part. Now, I don't always show this, but here is the burnishing tool that I use. It's the Ergonomic scoring tool or burnishing tool from Trinity, and it's made out of Teflon, and it works perfectly. I'm going to make the slider area from the Slimline Twist and Shout die set from Trinity Stamps. And I'm going to cut these pieces. This is the 3 pieces that I'll be using out of the die set, nothing else. So that die set has lots of possibilities, but we're just going to use 3 little pieces. So I've got all those pieces cut out from the circles, and I cut 4 of the largest circle, and the little bar slider is going to cut directly into the background piece, not the card base. I made sure to take that up, but I just used it kind of to measure. I don't want the slider portion to be too close to the edge of the card. It has to kind of stick around the middle area. So now we're going to build up our slider components. If you can see inside this larger circle, there is a smaller circle. Now, the larger circles are meant to be used for the twisting part of the die set, but these little small circles are perfect to stack on top of one another and be the penny slider portion of our slider card. Now I'm using one of the largest, and I used some 110-pound cardstock for this, and I just used a scrap piece. Scraps are great for things that are hidden, aren't they? And I am going to test it out, make sure there's enough height on the little circles. I used 4 But if you would like more flexibility, like you want it to flip around easier, then why not add 5 or 6? It wouldn't hurt a thing. So I'm adding the very largest back to the back side of the images, and I wanted to make sure I use those to give my images lots of stability. I'm going to pop up this the card panel, and that's very important. And I'm using a doubled up foam tape. So if that doesn't make sense, what I did was I used my Scotch foam tape and I cut it in half and made sure there were 2 layers. That way I know for a fact that the little otters are going to have no problem flipping and spinning around. To secure the slider portion, then I am just sliding them into the track, and then I'm going to adhere them to the circle, the little circle that's on the back of the image. And you could switch whichever direction you like, but I thought it looked really cute like this. Now I colored these off camera because coloring kind of takes a long time, and I wanted you to be able to see how to put the card together and how to make that gorgeous background. And I've stamped the sentiment off camera as well, and it says, "Your Otter This World." I love this. I'm a really huge sci-fi fan myself, but my husband really is, and so this is going to be the Valentine's Day card that I give my husband. So if you want to make something that your significant other is really into, then an interactive card makes it even more special and more personal. You could make a different kind of background and substitute different stamped images from Trinity Stamps and just customize it to different ways. My husband and I are kind of like Star Trek geeks, and so this is perfect for us. So for the inside of the card, I wanted to add a little bit more customization. And so I stamped one of the otters and a few of the images with some Blackout ink from Ink on 3, which is available in the Trinity store. And I'm going to show you how I colored the little otter. If I didn't mention it earlier, then all of the Ink on 3 products that I use are absolutely fantastic. And Trinity Stamps sells those in the store. So while you're shopping for your favorite stamps, be sure to shop for your favorite Ink on 3 products as well. Very simple and easy Copic coloring on the otter. And I chose to use some orange and yellow. And then I'm using a Stardust Jelly Roll pen to go over the area that is inside the astronaut's helmet, just to make it look a little bit more like glass. And it really is very sparkly in person. I'll be sure to tilt the card here at the end to show you just how sparkly it is. And the inside says Happy Valentine's Day, and I used a stamp set called A Sentiment for almost everything, which really does have loads and loads of sentiments. Here are our fun little otters, and they can turn any direction and twist and just have so much fun. Please subscribe to the Trinity channel by touching the red bar now, and be sure to hit the bell to be notified for any more video uploads. Thank you so much for watching today, and I'll see you next time.